Hey guys, John here. Today we're in Avenger 2 and we're going to take another look at the randomness inside the art module, which is one thing I really like about this synth. So let's start with a new preset here and we have our saw wave. So first thing, let's route it to our ARP and let's make something kind of listenable here. See, I do like the Nexus 12 for this one. So you have something kind of workable here. Okay, so yeah, I think we can start with that for now. So let's go to our ARP, and then over here where this dice button is, let's click this guy. And the first thing I kind of like doing is deselecting these all for now. And then first what we can do is maybe we can start with our notes here. So let's turn our note on, and we kind of have to decide here, since this is randomly generating things for us, we do want to pick a certain scale. So for this demonstration, I've been kind of playing around with Lydian, which I kind of like here. So something kind of like that. And then if we don't really like this pattern here, we can kind of change it up a little bit. Okay, so we are kind of getting some of these low notes, which is another thing that we kind of want to dive into. So let's say for now, these notes are cool. So let's disable the note and let's go over to the octaves and let's kind of check this out. So for now, let's put these all down to 0 and have this 0 be 100% and kind of roll this. And we're going to see this is going to be staying in the same octave range. Now here we can kind of introduce a little bit of things. So let's bring our strength all the way up and maybe add a little bit of one octave up here. And also some octave down. Okay, so maybe this is a point where we can add a little bit of delay, make it a little bit more listenable here. And maybe some drums as well. And I also like doing this spread here as well for some arps, which kind of just moves the notes between the left and the right speaker. Okay, so back to our ARP here in the randomness. So we've kind of briefly looked over here at the node, a little bit of these octaves as well. Now, what are some other things that maybe we want to add? So a good one too is going to be silence, because there's a concept out there where silence is equally as important as notes played. So with that in our minds, let's bring our strength all the way up here. And for now, let's disable octaves and let's take a look at the silence by enabling this here. And this is going to remove quite a bit here. So let's kind of remove some of these here and kind of just have no silence in the beginning, kind of where we're starting from. And maybe introduce a little bit. So it kind of gives us a little bit of groove. So if this is kind of the settings we like, we can go here and roll a couple of these other ones here. Okay, so let's say we like that for now. So let's disable our silence and let's take a look here at length by turning this one on. So here, let's bring these all the way kind of back to 0 and bring our strength all the way to the top. And now we can kind of start deciding how long we want these notes to be. So all of these kind of basically work in the same kind of way, right? We select our different parameter and we decide how much of that strength that we want, or how much strength that we want via these sliders here. And what's cool is if we disable length again, let's say we have all these parameters, but we just want to change the notes. We can go to our notes here and then kind of just roll some of these notes and see what we like. So that's kind of maybe a cool pattern here. So let's disable note, maybe revisit the lengths again, and maybe kind of roll this around a couple bit. So let's turn this off here, maybe extend this last guy. And we can do the same with ratchets if we want to as well. So maybe this patch doesn't call for it, but let's just check it out just in case. Let's turn our ratchet on, bring our strength up a little bit like that. Kind of roll these around. You can see these change here. That may be kind of interesting. So maybe we can add another oscillator. So let's bring this down an octave, get this guy here, maybe make this one a square, kind of narrow down the pulse a little bit. Maybe bring this up an octave, bring this to the arp, something like that. Maybe 2. We'll actually no, one might be okay. Let's see. Okay, so let's say we kind of like this now. What's kind of a thing to think about is that this is, yes, random, but also repetitive in a certain way. So if we want to do some true randomness and only kind of target the things that we like, so maybe we want these notes to change every so often, or the length. So maybe we'll turn off the ratchet and let's say we want to change some notes. We want to maybe change some silence with the parameters that we've given it, maybe some length and a little bit of the octaves. And let's go here to auto dice. So we can do something like that, and maybe, so for me, I'm like, maybe these ratchets are a little bit much. So let's bring this all the way down so there's no ratchets and see how that kind of sounds here. Let's turn that back on. Maybe the length is a little bit too much. Just bring that down like that. And give a little bit of shuffle. So that can definitely be kind of cool. So we have this kind of arp going on, and maybe, I don't know, maybe we can add an interesting bass to this. So let's say for this third osc, let's call this one a bass and kind of just hold the low end here. Now this one is going to go obviously to a separate arp because we want to control this differently. So let's go to arp 2 and also a different filter. So let's go to filter 2, also a different effect stack because we want kind of this to be treated by itself. So we have this and give it some unison, and this is kind of just a normal recipe we kind of go with here. And it's still got the little bit of shuffle, which is kind of cool. So if we go here and maybe we want to add an EQ to this guy. And I kind of like doing this here with the high shelf. And then also give it some compression. Maybe a little bit of delay might be kind of interesting, but take out that low end and a little bit of the high end and kind of bring this down. And then a tad bit of dimension. Take out the low end, a little bit like that, and bring down the mix. And what we could do as well here at the end is do a little bit of a mini chain and then sync this to the bass drum, which is kind of interesting. So we kind of have that side chain pumping going on. We can dial in how much of that we want. And then let's say, let's mute these first two and see how that goes with the drums. Okay, that's kind of cool. And then let's mute or unmute the first oscillator. maybe we like this, maybe we don't. Maybe we want to pick some different kinds of notes here. So maybe for the first arp, I'll say, let's go back to the randomness, and maybe let's change it out to one of my favorite scales here, which is just going to be a minor scale, which is kind of cool, and do some re-rolls like this here and see how that sounds. And if you want the bass to kind of follow different notes, it's going to be kind of tough here because this is going to be somewhat random. You could do that, or you can just send this arp directly to the first one. And then you're going to have your bass doing the low stuff. That's also an option. So maybe what we can do is on the first oscillator, this guy, because this does hit a little bit in the lower territory, we can bring this up an octave. So basically, if we mute the drums and the bass, these two can kind of control the high end, where the bass is going to control the low end. Maybe the second one, let's see, what about another octave? How would that sound? It's kind of cool. Maybe a little bit of reverb for this might be kind of interesting. Let's do some root reverb and also bring the decay down quite a bit, especially with arps. Okay, that's kind of cool. And what I might actually do here in the randomness, I might actually take off the note. Let's see, let's do some, maybe something like that and take off the note here. That's kind of cool. Okay, so let's do that here. Let's take our bass and our drums off and see what we have. It's actually kind of cool. Okay, so for that, I'm going to take off some auto dice and let's take a listen. It's actually kind of cool there, honestly. I kind of like this, kind of groovy. And that's also with the shuffle as well. If we take that down here. Then we maybe kind of tighten this up or kind of change some things here. Maybe put some root notes. So if we have this here, let's say you want to lock this in, then you can also go back to your ARP2 and kind of customize this as well and send your bass back to it. So that's kind of just another thing. But the whole point of this is that there's so many tools inside the randomizer to really kind of get the creative juices going here and then just play around with just different scales as well. The mysterious one is also a lot of fun. So let's kind of roll this guy a little bit and see what we come up with here. And then also increase our pattern length if we want something a little bit longer like that. That might be kind of interesting. And then for the bass here, maybe we can go to a second amp and then send this over to this guy. Maybe have the bass a little bit like that. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, especially with the bass with the drums is kind of nice. Especially when it hits those low notes and then everything together. So that one's kind of cool here. So if we want to go into more a little bit of a happier mood, we can go some majors here. Maybe change out our drums here. Let's go to the big toms. Cyber kits. I do like the what's it, beater? Maybe for our silence here, we can kind of bring this down a little bit less where notes hold a little bit. And then for our length, I guess we can increase this a little bit. Okay, that's kind of cool as well. What else can we do here? Let's see. Maybe some Dorian. That might be or some Dorian here. And once you got something kind of groovy that you like, that can be the start of its own song. That can you take this, maybe split up the arp and the bass or whatever it is. Maybe make the bass follow the arp somewhat, or kind of have some rhythmic elements to the bass. That would be kind of interesting as well. So yeah, a lot of fun there. Definitely play around with this. It's a lot of fun. You can do a lot of crazy stuff and come up with some really cool arps, and you can always save what you did and come back to it later. So yeah, something to think about and a lot of fun to be had. So thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you in the next one.